This is a landslide they're cleaning up.
God bless. That landslide there did not take out any of these businesses right here.
Right.
It did not take out any homes. I see that shed right there's got a hole in it. I don't know if that could have been damaged from what happened, but it didn't even look like it took out those towers or else they'd been restored. So if all that happened was maybe a hole in a shed, thank God.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of massive stuff they're cleaning up right now. Now imagine when that happens in someone's backyard. Imagine when somebody's back of somebody's house was sitting there. And that's what happened in some cases. People love to have properties along the rivers. And there are a lot of rivers.
That is true.
I mean, we'll pass by a lot of real estate signs that still say, Bold Creek, Big Fawn, riverfront property, river views, creek views. Yeah, so I absolutely love Marion in McDowell County. Since this has happened, there is some communities I've absolutely fallen in love with, and this is one of them for sure. So I think my third supply run that I ended up making was out here to Marion once they cleared Highway 221 all the way out here. I remember actually coming in, and it might not have been this substation, but a different substation. And I was sitting there, and I had to wait on the highway for a minute because there was like 8, at least, utility bucket trucks all pouring into this substation to get the power turned back on, right in front of me. And in those early days, that was huge. We just need the power on, just to keep businesses operating, if nothing else. Even for the people who did lose their homes and lost everything, at least you want to be able to walk into a gas station and get a drink.
Right.
So when I came up here, I came up to get my car inspected first, actually, except they weren't able to do that one for me. But I also, I had previously scraped up the underside of my car on the bottom of a mountain in West Virginia. It had nothing to do with the mountains up here, but then later the bottom ended up falling out, and I was holding it together with a ratchet strap. So, that sucks. You want to get that taken care of. I am not capable of doing it myself because I have toothpicks for arms and no idea how cars work. So I show up, and the guy wasn't able to do the inspection for me, but he ended up actually getting the thing off the bottom of my car. He did that for free. He would not take the money that I was trying to offer. I'm like waving like money at him, like, please take my money. He's like, no, we're fine. And the supply drop I wanted to make was actually going to be up here to a location that I got to too late, and they were closed up and they were locked. So I didn't want to go home with the donations. I wanted to find something else, so he recommended a few locations, and I ended up at the Restoration Church off of Ashworth Road, which is near I-40. And the Restoration Church, they were coordinating a whole lot of donations. They had boxes of stuff that people were going through to get what they needed. They had a trailer, a semi that they were unloading with a forklift right there. And actually, I was able to get my car just a little bit off-road, just a little bit, to get to the drop-off point, because the guy had just gotten a plastic thing off the bottom of the car. Otherwise, if he had not just done that for me, I wouldn't have been able to get the car to the drop-off point right there. So we get everything out of my car. It's really sweet church ladies out there, and we all know North Carolina church ladies in particular they're going to pray for you, and we pray together. And
they do be doing that.
They do be doing that. And they didn't want me to leave without eating, and I didn't want to take any food from this community.
Right.
Like, please no. But while we were praying, they snuck a bag into my car when I wasn't looking that had 4 sandwiches and 2 drinks and 2 bags of chips, and I didn't even notice until I got home. That was Restoration Church here in Marion. Like, they did that for me, and I just,
brought a tear to your eye.
Yeah, they were just wonderful people out here in Marion and in McDowell County, and for how hard they got hit. I remember coming through here as soon as they got the power turned back on, and just like in Rutherfordton, when the power was back, everybody was in downtown. They all came out to the downtown businesses. You had never seen North Carolina tiny towns so full of business at 7, 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night.
Oh, I believe it.
Because people, partly to support their communities, and so many of these businesses really were operating by candlelight or just doing anything that they could to give people any level of relief in those early days. So people wanted to pay that back. People, the local businesses are a part of the fabric of your community. And they're the ones who, they're not fighting with, corporate in some big office somewhere to care enough to make resources available from some budget somewhere. The local businesses are just like, okay, yeah, we're just going to open up and do what we can. We're just going to help out our neighbors, however. And we see that all over the place here. You see that in Old Fort. You see that down in Spindale, like I spoke about, here in Marion, here and everywhere. Local businesses, the local churches, the local just individuals, everybody really came together in those moments. Man, now I'm starting to ramble. I'm starting to get a little bit emotional here. What I'm saying is I absolutely love McDowell County, and God, they got hit so hard. And we're about to see some of that as we head up north past Marion. Right after there was a pattern, actually, as the towns would open up. They would all be in the downtowns, and then the next day there would be a flurry of traffic down the same highway down to Spartanburg, because that was the first town that they could reach past the WNC border. Chesney was, still, I know that they, went to the Chesney stores as well, but people were still struggling just to keep things on shelves, keep it stocked as best as we possibly could throughout Spartanburg County with everything. So people would end up coming down to Spartanburg, which was larger and had more shops available to get what they needed. And then they would come back up with what they had, the food, the water, the propane, the gasoline, the supplies for the rest of their household, for their neighbors, for the guys down the street, for their Facebook friend who, reached out because they needed something. And so I would see that. If I drove past, I would see it. And then on Sundays and Wednesdays, churches were slammed. The churches were packed. And I won't get too religious or spiritual or preachy here, but there is a whole lot of people who have survived this and would love to tell you about how it has affected them in every possible way.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely imagine that. Yeah, especially, being in the South and all.
In my opinion, just my opinion, when I go to these supply sites and I see all of the donations that are all over the place, every single one of those is love. Every single one of every pallet of water, every box of cereal, every pack of tampons or a new bathrobe, every single one of those says, I see you. You survived and you will continue to survive. There's a love for a stranger that you're going to help them keep going because you want in any way understand or try to understand what they've been through. And the truth is, I don't think any of us can fully understand what people have been through from one place to another. Whether it was the flash floods that came through or the landslides or whatever it happened, even if it was just the loss of income or the grief for our communities and everything that happened. A lot of people have lost so much, and it's caused all of us to come back to thinking about our priorities. That right there next to us is a city of RVs. Those are people who are surviving. Those are people who lost their homes either temporarily or permanently, and some of them probably still trying to figure out which one, or how they're going to get the funds together to fix what can be fixed. And it's better than a camping tent, but it's not enough.
True on both counts.
Here in McDowell County, we have some communities that I'm not able to pass by today that got hit extremely hard. Dysartsville and Cane Creek. I'm not going to get in front of these trucks. They look like they are on a mission. Hartsville got hit super hard by the winds in the deforestation, as well as probably flooding along Cane Creek. Nebo, Lake James, they had air rescues out that way. They took serious flooding and serious home damage, destruction. Old Fort, little tiny town, they have come together so hard for each other. Sitting right there on I-40. They're the next town that you reach after Black Mountain, basically. And their main street is still, it's open but iffy. I don't think it's technically open, but it's open, you know?
Yeah.
But they're still mucking mud out of homes. A lot of homes. And they got hit so hard at the beginning, we couldn't get to them at the beginning. By we, I mean, you know, trying to reach from South Carolina or trying to reach from really any direction. It was hard just to reach. You know, that's a town that sits right there on the interstate.
Yeah.
You think about the ones that, you know, just a holler out, way out in the middle of nowhere. There are places that social media hasn't picked up on yet. There are places that haven't gotten any attention at all. And if the destruction sits closer to the main roads, people are more likely to know about it.
Yeah.
If the destruction sits further away from the main roads, I guess it's harder to find. I've used satellite imagery through Google Maps, and especially as they've been updating it recently, and as the leaves have been coming off the trees, we can see more of the damaged areas, and that's allowed me to, you know, identify some locations that took massive damage for one reason or another that we didn't quite know about yet. It could be something like you've got a river that's flowing, that's flooding, and you've got debris coming through, and you have a big debris pile. Cars got picked up and houses and stuff. And if it blocks the stream flow's got to redirect. All that water is going to go somewhere. Sometimes redirected at a 90-degree angle straight into somebody's house.
God. That's terrifying.
Yeah. There are people who got flooded out who didn't live near the water.
Damn.
And so, you know, now they're reevaluating floodplains. They have had the Army Corps of Engineers in several locations to move the rivers back in place. We will see some of that if we're able to make it up 19E today, which is my plan. So now we're coming up Highway 221 here in northern McDowell County. This area we're getting up to is Woodlawn. And past Woodlawn is North Cove. And this is an area that, you know, still was difficult to access until probably a couple weeks ago. If we were to go further north past North Cove, it would be Linville Falls, where you've got the Linville Gorge.
I love Linville Falls.
They took massive damage from the storm, unfortunately, and that part of 221 is going to be closed up into next year. You can see the damage right now from the satellite imagery, and thankfully, you know, people don't live in the campgrounds.
Yeah.
The visitor center did get destroyed, but a visitor center can be rebuilt. I love Linville Falls too. I've actually been camping there before.
Me and one of my former girlfriends from many years ago used to go there. We get like a little bed and breakfast and like go hiking and stuff, and just go up and down like Blue Ridge Parkway and different areas around there, and just all around the mountains. But Linville Falls was like everywhere we went. Like Linville Falls was probably our favorite place that we visited.
They will reopen it. They are working to get that back open. As the crews came basically from Spartanburg, they cleared I-26 up to Asheville, and those two locations have allowed them to radiate out to these main highways like 221, 226, and then, you know, reach each town as they can, clear it, get, you know, critical repairs done so that the infrastructure is back up and functioning, and then make it to the next town, branch out to smaller and more rural areas from there so that they could get access restored to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So they did prioritize the more populated areas first. It also just makes sense if you actually look at the maps, and that is how it tends to be laid out. The areas, you know, reaching certain areas before they get to the smaller roads. So they are still working on a lot of the smaller highways, but at this point, from the work that they've done since probably the middle of November, it's been possible to access most, if not all, areas, but it can be dangerous in some cases still, just because the roads are still in bad shape. Some places are local traffic only, where they don't want you to try to risk the roads unless you live there. Some places will actually turn you away at the line unless you live there, or you're a volunteer, or you've arranged it in advance. They're not going to have the disaster tours. They're not going to have people risking themselves on dangerous roads just for the heck of it.
Right.
As we come up here into North Cove, you can see some more of the debris and some more of the landslides. There's a drone operator called North Cove Visuals. It's on Facebook, who has posted some incredible drone footage of the damage, and it also shows you, on a wide scale. It shows you, you'll see an area and then you'll see it a month later, and how things are changing, how things are hopefully improving. Now that sign up there, that said US 221 closed, roads not passable. 221's not even a local traffic road. We really can't get you back and forth on it. So we're about to turn left here on a 226, and this is what's going to bring us up to Spruce Pine. You already start to see some of the tree farms here.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And up here in the high country, one of their most important industries is the Christmas tree industry.
That makes sense.
Look at this. What do we have here? We got trucks coming down, trucks coming up. We got, this guy is just selling honey on the side of the road. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a whole convoy. I don't know what they're working on, but I'm sure they're working hard. And then you got these trucks coming down here. You got this one that's pulling out to maybe get some work done right here, maybe. So the work is ongoing. It's all over the place. These tree farms, I'm impressed with how many trees were saved. I do not know what the farmers had to do in order to save these trees, while right next to them you've got, oh boy, we're about to see something right here in this valley. Unfortunately, there were also a lot of farmers, tree farmers, orchard farmers, even going down into upstate South Carolina and the Midlands, where the rivers flooded, all that coming down from the mountains. It did massive damage to these farms. Unfortunately, a lot of those heavy metals and chemicals also got into the soil, and now they are worried about soil remediation. That's going to be, a big challenge to address, unfortunately. But as for the Christmas tree farms, they managed to save a lot. There were some trees that maybe took some flooding and damage at the very bottom branches that had to be cut off, and other than that, those survivor trees are looking beautiful. A little bit of a Christmas miracle, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
So I highly, highly encourage anybody who wants to support the area right now, get your Christmas tree from Avery or Watauga or Ashe counties. This here we're at, get them from here too. This is McDowell County still. You can see the flooding. You can see how much damage it did here, especially to my left. Where the water is collected in these river basins, obviously, is where they took the most damage. We're going to come up here from McDowell County. If we were to take this left and go along 226A, you know what? I'm going to take it.
All right.
Take it. I haven't taken this route yet.
Uh-oh.
But I do see, okay, this area is called Little Switzerland, and this took some of the worst damage. I haven't been able to access it yet. It was real bad. You can tell how beautiful this place is. Just look at these views, but they also had a lot of trailers here. They had very steep slopes, and they had some very, very, very large landslides. In fact, again, North Cove Visuals actually recently posted drone footage that shows the landslide that took out this Highway 226A. And when you see that, and now we're driving on it, and I see how, it has been repaired to that extent, is absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, a inn called the Skyline Village Inn, which in those early weeks was operating as a supply hub. And after I made the Black Mountain run, and I went to Charlotte to Tommy's Pub for the punk rock concert that Johnny from Queen City Rejects hosted to raise donations and supplies, and we got those supplies up to Spruce Pine. And I got them to the Skyline Village Inn. And when I got there, there was only one volunteer that was working today to try to run the whole thing, and so we couldn't find her immediately. There
wow. All of that is...
Yeah.
Holy shit. That is insane.
I'm gonna drive real slow through here so that we can get better luck.
Wow.
Here on the right, these landslides are absolutely the whole... You know this road got taken out.
Jesus.
This is repaved. This is fixed. This is effort. This is rebuilding. This is progress. This is what recovery looks like. It's not always pretty. There's so much to be done. But the people who live here, I think that they would tell you that this is worth fighting for. I think they would tell you that they're not leaving. Maybe they will. Some people have left or will leave as a result of what has happened here, and I can't blame them.
That's true.
There's a lot of reasons for it. They're protecting themselves or their families, or if it's just a trauma, or if there's just better opportunities elsewhere. For the ones that are staying, this is what we are recovering. This is what we're rebuilding from. We're going to see this for the next few hours. This is all over for thousands of square miles. It was this bad. This sits right next to Mitchell County, named for Mount Mitchell, which is the highest peak, highest elevation in the east, North America, or at least the eastern continental U.S. Here, as I pass along this side of the road, you see here on the right edge, it's still crumbled away. There's, in some places, probably not earth underneath of the road, and so we have to be so careful driving through. The road crumbles under your tires. Now, you go either into the side of the mountain or, God forbid, into the ravine. And that's why we got to be real careful with the heavy equipment and the heavy trucks we pull up here. Unfortunately, there have been trucks that have fallen into the ravines. Unfortunately, there have been people who have died.
Oh, I am certain of it.
Just in the efforts and the deforestation. The strength of the winds here, and also the erosion as the waters ran down the mountain with nowhere. They just ran down because it was so soaked. It was saturated already. You couldn't. This area, some areas around here, recorded almost more than 30 inches of rain in those days, from probably 9/23 or 24 to 9/27. All that water on top of the mountain is going to flow down. It might come up and go back down, just the force of it and the amount of water, but it all had to go somewhere. And to show the world this is not to exploit the disaster. To show the world how bad this is not because I want people to gawk at destroyed homes and RVs and campers and say, oh wow, that's just horrifyingly wow. But it's so people understand how bad and how widespread this is. And that's why we're going to drive for a long time and look at all of this.
And what people are still trying to recover from.
The rebuilding is incredible. The force that nature came down upon this land is unimaginable, and that's why people weren't prepared. But how could they? That would be grass seed, I think.
Probably, yeah.
And they will need grass and grass seed in order to help with the erosion in the future and prevent future landslides, because those roots are what hold the soil in place. The winds and waters that came down, that took down these trees when they enough to hold it, anchor it in place. And so that came down. That's what caused the landslides, the mudslides, all that comes down into the river. That causes debris flows. And then, yeah, sometimes the debris blocked stream flows and it got redirected into other locations. That's where they've had to bring in the Army Corps of Engineers with specialized equipment to move rivers back in place, because that's not normally something that we do. And I think some of these houses have probably shifted as well. They're not sitting on their foundations anymore. That has been a problem. Little Switzerland needs help. There is a group called Little Switzerland Relief that has been working out here to provide support to the community out here. I was telling a story about the project of the Skyline Village Inn. So it was a supply hub that people around here could access on foot, close enough. And there was a father and son, and the son was translating for the father before they realized I could speak Spanish. And this kid was probably 6 or 7 years old. And he told me that they were looking for a generator. But they didn't want to go inside the hub looking for somebody without even, like, speaking to somebody first.
Right.
They didn't want to make it, they didn't want to look like they were trying to take things without permission or anything, but they were there to get what they needed because they were people who were very much affected. And I don't think that we were able to find the volunteer who was running things in time before they left, and that is not to say anything about, there's one volunteer trying to run a large site by herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of those encounters in the early days. People doing whatever they could just to get the supplies that they needed, like a generator, and that was in October. I'm hoping they got one by now. They probably got one by now. This place was so beautiful. You can tell how beautiful this place was. This is worth fighting for. I'm glad they're spraying down the grass seed, and the grass is going to grow again.
Yeah, I was going to say, this place will definitely be, like, absolutely beautiful again. I mean, it's still beautiful. It's just it's been through some shit.
Yeah, exactly. They have inns besides the Skyline Village Inn. There are multiple bed and breakfasts and other locations up here. And so this is a popular, quiet location for tourism. And once we've got this road that's, safe enough for more cars to access on, because I'm glad that I'm not even passing anybody in some parts of this. Once they've got those power lines, a little more stable, especially because there will be more high winds, one lane road ahead, as they get this place back up and functioning, really, they have to bring the tourism back. And we've got communities where they're facing that, where they're still trying to recover, they still need critical supplies like food, but they're also trying to bring tourists back in because that's what their industry is based off of. And they lost their key seasons. A lot of places, it's October is their main season because of the leaves. In other areas, like especially up in the high country, thank you, sir. In other areas, it's actually December, the ski season.
Yeah.
Right now. This road, this is definitely one lane. You can't get.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, try pulling a trailer on this. Jesus Christ. See, why have the FEMA houses not been delivered? You gonna try to get a house through there?
Right.
You do it. It's just, I'm not. Who's gonna do that? God bless these folks. It's a cold job. Not an exciting one, but it's important. I gotta know if I can go through safely or not.
Right. Oh. Holy hell.
That's what driving through some of these areas is like. asphalt is concerned, it's not crumbling on the sides. Thank God, because it's still a scary road for especially heavy equipment to take. Even a regular driver in a car like this, some of these highways can be kind of scary.
Oh, yeah.
At the best of times. If you're not used to them, if you're not used to the mountain driving, four-wheel drive is kind of a must. But, you know, when you get up into these kinds of conditions, we're trying to share the road with these heavy equipment trucks who are honestly doing much more important work than I am right now. And again, as I would love to hop off the road once in a while and grab some photos, but there's not always safe places to do that. I'm so glad that you're here to film right now, because I can't do this. I can't record when I'm seeing and drive at the same time. And you can see these road conditions. This ain't the only place. So we got to really, really keep an eye on what we're doing. See, this one, what do I do if somebody comes along the other side here?
Y'all, this is 10 weeks.
Exactly 10 weeks after the storm. And I'll tell you, there have been crews working on these roads and working on the power lines and getting this place restored for weeks and weeks and weeks. They were out here working when I, like 3 or 4 weeks in, when I showed up at the Skyline Village, and they were out here. But it's so much. There's so much. You know, if you threw $1 billion at this place, you probably couldn't get it cleared up in a week. But we are working with the resources that we've got, and that is limited manpower, limited funds, limited time. In these smaller, more rural, quieter areas that do not have, you know, plants that are, you know, important to the infrastructure, but rather, you know, they're just quietly focused on small tourism and small business and such. Unfortunately, they didn't get the priority. So that, on top of the just sheer level of devastation that happened out here, is making it so hard to repair things now and to get things cleared back up. We need to keep the crews working. We need to keep funding the crews that are doing this work, because this cannot be done by volunteers. We, the people, actually can't be the ones out here repaving the highways, fixing up the power lines, especially as they come back down with these winds. We can't be the ones to reinstall, you know, a new water system.
Right.
An entire sewer system for the city. Or to clear up these landslides with this type of heavy equipment. This is not something that volunteers can do on their own. This is dangerous, heavy-duty work. We need to keep the crews coming in. We need to keep them funded.
It's still just like absolutely mind-boggling to think about being at this elevation and the kind of damage that was done and the level of that kind of damage, like flooding, hurricanes, like up here. I mean, we're well over 2,000 feet above sea level.
Oh yeah, definitely. Might be over 3,000 by now. I'm not 100% sure. Plus, we keep going up. This is the very outskirts of McDowell County or Mitchell County or Yancey County. I'm not even sure. I think they all kind of blend in right here. In some areas where the river shifted out of place, the river actually formed a county boundary, and now the county line is shifted. I cannot imagine
saying that out loud, like, move a river back in place. What?
That's also what happened in Chimney Rock. So, talk about that real quick, even though that's not where we're at. That area is called the Hickory Nut Gorge, where 74 Alt goes from, extends from Asheville into Fairview, then into Girton, and then to Bat Cave, Chimney Rock, and Lake Lure. Lake Lure is a man-made lake. It's not a natural
shit.
lake. Oh, shh. I'm backing up on the mountain. I'm backing up on the mountain. I'm backing up on the mountain.
Oh, shit. Balls.
Yeah.
I would say... Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. Yep. You already know.
Sometimes that's just what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay. We got through that. We got a cat here at the bottom that's doing what they do. Holy shit. For the record, and I know you got this on video, the road closed sign wasn't...
I did not see a road closed
It didn't,
sign.
yeah, I didn't... The road wasn't closed.
No.
So, sometimes you just encounter stuff.
You know what the funny thing, the ironic part about it is, like, as we were starting to come around that last curve, I was about to say there's a surprise around every corner, and then as soon I didn't say it, but as soon as we got around the corner, it's like, oh, wow.
Now I've heard about the Alpine Inn taking pretty severe damage, and they've been trying to get volunteers out this way, and that's another reason that I thought 226A was a little more passable than it currently is. Okay, I'll figure out how I'm going to do this. All right, you bring me through.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. AT&T, thank you for your service out here.
Thank you for your cellular service.
Because that is who I am currently with.
In a few locations, I saw this in Lake Lure actually. Some of the cellular providers have actually brought in mobile, like, disaster relief towers or satellites. Flag up there. They brought them into certain locations to provide signal for people. Some areas where you wouldn't even normally have signal under good conditions, like Lake Lure. And I remember being out there and being surprised that I had any data signal until I saw the tower. I was like, oh, thank you, Verizon.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
But it's also in incorporated areas like, Lake Lure and Chimney Rock, like, they have a town government. They have their taxes go towards programs that have been activated, departments that are able to help provide resources. In unincorporated areas, like here in Little Switzerland, they don't have that. They don't have that level of organization. It's going to go straight to the county, and the county is trying to... in the early days, weeks, it was a matter of figuring out what the hell even happened and where the damage even was, because it was all over. I think that's why they closed all roads in WNC at the beginning, because they were trying to figure out, how many places does it look like this, or is it more just like some trees on down, which are still dangerous and had to be taken care of. Different situations, different responses. This is why some areas got cleaned up more quickly and some areas are taking months. If we'd taken 226, we'd be probably in Spruce Pine by now.
Can we get to Spruce Pine this way?
Yes.
Okay.
And we will. We will be heading up there. We're actually going to come back on at 226. So this alt route is, just takes you up through these mountains. By the way, they used to do moonshining out here. The Skyline Village Inn actually used to be a hub for running moonshine, and the owner herself told me this. And they've got a moonshine cave in the back of the kitchen.
That doesn't actually surprise me at all.
Please don't send me back down the damn mountain the way I came. I'm almost at the top. Thank you.
Thanks again, AT&T.
Oh, it's supposed to be closed. Wasn't my intention to. It actually wasn't my intention to put us quite in this type of situation today. And I actually feel a little guilty on your behalf, and also for the cruise that I feel like I am. There's a truck coming up.
Oh shit.
Is it?
I don't know.
I think they're stationary.
They look stationary. It's hard to tell. We definitely got some
Shits.
high activity up here.
I mean, I can always get out and talk to them and see if we can, what I need to do.
See if
I'm just gonna wait. I'm not gonna play games with it.
See if anybody flags us.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play games with this one.
Yeah, no, they got
I can't. You see the way that they're balancing that thing on the slope and on the rocks? That I tell you, God bless these crews.
would scare the shit out of me.
That is incredible work. So yeah, I'm gonna sit here and wait as long as I need to wait for this guy to do what he needs to do.
Yeah, I'd
There's no
support
way
that
he's gonna see us from
100%.
that angle anyway. There's somebody else walking back down.
Alright, that's what we were waiting for.
Coming through these types of areas, this is pretty extreme, but you gotta be safe, you gotta be patient, hey, you gotta be flexible.
Oh. Okay, yes.
I
Yeah.
think this is actually the Alpine Inn that they've been working on trying to repair. It might be this up here. This might be what's going on or something, so.
Guessing that's a bunch of debris from the inn right there.
Yeah, it could be debris from
Anything, yeah.
a few different places.
Oh, wow.
Oh man, it makes me very grateful out here that I do have my backup camera. For these guys, I would wish that truck would have a backup camera, and I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Just what they're doing up here is dangerous work. It is difficult, and it is so critically important. Yep, Alpine Inn. Jesus, it is a miracle they're even still standing. We got those look like volunteers. Got the fire going. Oh my God. Oh God. I wouldn't have brought you on this road if I'd known this was gonna happen.
Oh no. This is it is fine. No need to worry or apologize. Well, I'm not gonna say no need to worry.
I won't lie.
There is a sense of uncertainty. Wow. There's power lines going through here. Oh.
Also, remember, this area got hit by real heavy winds and ice last night. And what does the car says it is 39 degrees. Balmy, sunny, 39 degrees out here.
Wow.
And this is what they're working in. At least it seems like the winds have died down, thankfully, because, you know,
Yeah.
with the work that they're doing and some of this precariousness, you had 60-mile-an-hour gusts on top of that. No, we'll send them home.
Yeah, for real. It's like we appreciate the effort, but don't die, please.
Exactly. You gotta secure your own oxygen mask before helping others, and safety first.
Yeah.
Safety vehicles coming up this road and coming through the road closed sign that was up on the other side of 226A.
Oof.
When I made the first drive to Spruce Pine, and that was, again, like 3 weeks after the storm, the military was coming into the town as I was coming out, actually. But they were coming out of this road. This is why they had road closures. People were bypassing because they were like, how dare you close the road for me? What did this look like when you took it 7 weeks ago? I would love to know. Out of state, too. I mean, like...
Oh, shit.
All right.
Literally, sprawls around every corner.
That's why we gotta go slow. There's also been problems of people going way too fast on these roads. And okay, this guy wanted to pass the deer, he can pass the deer. All right, you do that.
Fuck that.
You do that. I can drive slow.
Yeah,
I can drive 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to turn eventually.
I mean, he's trying, but...
I mean, like, just totally, it baffles me that the people that just come flying through these, like, elevated, like, mountain roads when they're in great condition. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm terrified driving through here, like, over, like, 25 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not even 25. Like, I'll be doing 20 through here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people come through here doing 50 like it's nothing. It's like, what the fuck are y'all thinking?
That's how people go over the side of the mountain.
Yep.
And this guy's waving me through. All right, word. Thank you, John Deere.
Appreciate it.
Oh, little Switzerland. God, they deserve better here. They deserve so much better out here. Parkway, we're getting close to the end. Or actually, is that Toots? Hold on, I might have made a wrong turn. I think I made a wrong turn. Can I turn left here? Yeah. And I probably could go through this way and still get to Spruce Pine, but I don't want to navigate until I have to, so I'm going to take the roads that I know where I'm going. Alright, back. I was about to say, oh man, the roads are getting better now. Yeah. And yeah, the Blue Ridge Parkway, I think, is still closed in this section. They reopened the Blue Ridge Parkway at some sections, and that does actually help sometimes in getting from one place to another. Especially like around Nashville, Hendersonville. But yeah, you can see here now we're on top of the mountain. This is much easier to pass through, even though you can still see some signs of damage along the road. It will have to be repaved up here sometime, probably in the next year, if not sooner. That branch is probably not there this morning. Yeah, there's still outcourse stuff coming down. But again, like the winds definitely have died down here from where they were at probably earlier.
Yeah, I'm staying someplace. There's I think it's January 20, 24th, 25th, something. Oh. Alrighty. It's just a barrier. I don't really. And we'll find out momentarily. But yeah, there's a.
Look at that one right here. Yeah, that's where you got to be real careful. Which, especially passing people on some of these routes, sometimes it really is better to just back it up.
Yeah.
Back it up, Terry. Put it in reverse.
Yeah, me and a couple of friends got an Airbnb booked somewhere in Blowing, I think it's in Blowing Rock, somewhere around Boone or Blowing Rock or something. I forget where it is, but we're gonna be staying there for like 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
Damn, that is beautiful. Yeah, that particular area right around there, the Blue Ridge Parkway, I guess, right in that general area, a good bit of it is okay, I think, or has been made okay to some degree in that particular area. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been myself or seen it. I'm just going by what my friend who booked the weekend for us is telling me from what she's been told. We're like definitely pretty high up here.
Yeah, these power lines are rough, but I believe that even these areas have electricity. I believe. Not 100%. Don't quote me on that. That inn is actually looking like it's in good shape.
It does.
You know, God, I hope next year I'm able to come out here and book a room and spend a few nights and, forget it ever looked like this.
Yeah.
Really strong communities out here who have really pulled together for each other. I mean, because it still hasn't been safe for us as volunteers to even access, and we just saw why.
Yeah.
So, the people there, you might have a few people who are able to get in and out, to get supplies and such and coordinate, with organizations in Spruce Pine and elsewhere to get what they need, get it back into the community and just keep people going while they work on rebuilding roads and power infrastructure that, was built a long time ago and took a long time to begin with. Appalachia has always been a difficult land to settle. And up here where you do have the highest terrains, the geography is the biggest, maybe the biggest challenge. Something we also have to think about here with the landslides is that as water comes in, snow, rain, it gets into the cracks of the landslides and then it freezes overnight and then it thaws out. And when it freezes, it expands. Ice, solid, is more, it takes up more space than water as a liquid.
That's true.
That, we are worried, will cause some more landslides on top of the ones we've already had. That can be brutal. So there are all kinds of factors in play. There could be more road closures. There could be more landslides. There are people who are, wanting to get things filled in now and worried about getting things stabilized before more landslides could be triggered because they're worried about their homes or their businesses.
Of course, yeah.
It's still an ongoing situation, and we knew it. We knew that this would take months and years to rebuild, and it wouldn't happen in a few weeks. I think a lot of folks still didn't really fully understand. It was a lot more than Asheville and Swannanoa and Buncombe County that were destroyed. And because it's so widespread, because there's so much of it, because some of these areas are so difficult to access, and people are asking, well, why wasn't it done yet? People were expecting that, it would, be fixed by now.
Uh-oh. What do we got coming up here? This looks like a road closure.
I can't get through. All right.
Well, that turn back there at the Emerald Mines.
Yeah, that's going to be our most likely bet.